Charleston, South Carolina, July 9th, 1836, midnight. The storm comes in sideways, rain slashing at the shutters like a whip. Lightning fractures the sky above the Whitlock Manor, its white columns gleaming for a heartbeat, before vanishing into shadow. A scream cuts through the thunder, sharp, human, desperate. Inside, a single candle topples. Wax spills like blood, flame leaps from lace to curtain. The air fills with the scent of burning silk and salt water. A piano key trembles, one then another, a ghost playing through the smoke. A whisper rides the wind. The fire didn't start in the parlor. It started years before in their hearts. Morning crawls in grey over Charleston's harbor. The air is heavy with salt, molasses, and rot. Seagulls circle low, their cries sharp against the masts of idle ships. The rain has stopped, but the streets still glisten like spilled mercury. Two men shoulder a crate of sugar along Meeting Street, boots sucking against the mud. Their breath steams in the dawn chill. Jonas Reed walks ahead, broad shoulders, knotted hands lined with old rope burns. He glances toward the Whitlock mansion rising at the end of the street, pale, enormous, and cracked like an eggshell. "Swear on my mother," Jonas mutters. "I seen smoke coming out that place before the thunder hit last night." Isaac Bellman Price, a freedman with a messenger's pouch slung across his chest, walks slower, eyes down. He answers without looking up. "Storm makes fools of eyes, Jonas. Wind plays tricks." Jonas spits. "Wind don't scream like that. Sounded like someone was burning alive." The crate thuds down onto the cobblestones. Isaac adjusts his grip, the small brass bell tied to his belt giving a hollow chime. The dockmen call him Bellman, half joke, half mark, a reminder that his freedom still rings on borrowed time. "Best not speak of the Whitlocks," Isaac murmurs. "People disappear for less." Jonas wipes rain from his face. "Used to be they threw dances in there. My aunt served punch in crystal bowls, said she never seen so much gold in one room." He squints toward the manor. The iron gate hangs ajar, rusted vines curling through its filigree. The great house sits like a carcass, roof tiles missing, shutters warped, the columns streaked with mildew. Isaac shifts his weight. "Wealth don't rot quiet. It screams when it dies," Jonas laughs nervously. "You sound like one of them preachers." Isaac doesn't smile. "I've seen what happens when people start whispering about chains breaking. After that Nat Turner mess, every white man carries fire in his pocket and calls it justice." A carriage rattles past, splashing them with muddy water. Inside, a planter stares straight ahead, pretending not to see them. The two men wait until the wheels vanish around the bend before lifting the crate again. "Still," Jonas says, nodding toward the Whitlock place. "She's in there, ain't she? The widow, Margaret, won't sell, won't leave." Isaac glances up for the first time. In the cracked second-floor window, a pale figure stands behind the shutter, unmoving. A hand rests against the glass. He swallows hard. "'Tain't right to watch ghosts." Jonas follows his gaze. "That ain't no ghost." "That's her." The shutter closes with a soft thud like the sound of a coffin lid. Isaac's bell jingles once in the silence. "Come on," he says quietly. "Some houses are built on bones." You stand too long and the ground remembers. They walk on, leaving muddy footprints behind. The mansion looms in the mist, proud, ruined, and waiting. From within, faint and distant, a piano note trembles. Charleston, 1826. Summer presses heavy on the Whitlock estate. Cicadas buzz through the magnolia trees, and the smell of iron and sweet rot drifts from the fields. Inside the manor, time moves slower, like breath caught between grief and pride. Margaret Whitlock stands before a mirror, adjusting her ivory gloves. Her reflection stares back, pale, beautiful, and distant. On her finger gleams the Whitlock family ring, gold chased with rubies. She flexes her hand, watching the glove stretch smooth over skin that's never known work. Behind her, a girl's voice breaks the stillness. "Mother, it's Sunday." Eleanor Whitlock, 15, stands in the doorway, tall, proud, eyes sharp enough to cut glass. Her dark hair is bound tight, her silver cross necklace catching the light. Margaret doesn't turn. "Sunday comes every week, child. Why should this one matter? Toyo said we'd go to church," Eleanor says. "People talk when we don't." Margaret finally turns. "People talk no matter what we do. They call us cursed since your father died. Let them talk." She smooths the folds of her mourning dress. The black silk has long faded to ash gray. Outside, a young slave girl passes the window carrying linens. Her belly is swollen. She glances up, and Margaret's eyes meet hers through the glass. For a heartbeat, neither woman moves. Then Margaret draws the curtain. Eleanor watches the motion. "Her name's Ruth," she says quietly. "She used to sing to us." "Don't speak their names at table," Margaret replies. "It breeds sentiment." "I only asked—" "You asked too much." Margaret steps toward her daughter, gloved hand raised not in threat but in weary emphasis. "Your father left debts, Eleanor. Land unpaid. Workers unfed. What do you suppose feeds this house? Guilt?" "I don't know," Eleanor whispers. "Maybe mercy." Margaret's mouth curves in something between a smile and a sneer. Mercy doesn't keep roofs from falling. From the corner of the room, a soft humming rises, thin and pure. Clara, 11, sits cross-legged on the rug, sewing a small doll with yellow thread. Her voice trembles through the same lullaby she's sung since she could speak. Margaret closes her eyes. "Clara, not now." Clara stops mid-note. "Sorry, Mama." Eleanor kneels beside her sister. "That song was Father's favorite, remember? He used to whistle it on the veranda." Margaret's hand tightens around her glove. "Your father whistled many things. None of them paid a cent." Silence pulls thick. Then the clock chimes, 4 dull notes that echo through the hall. At dinner, the table gleams with silver, though the plates hold little food. A servant girl stands by the wall, eyes low. Margaret lifts her wine, her gaze cold and distant. Eleanor cuts her meat but doesn't eat. "Mother," she says softly, "how much does a child sell for?" The servant girl stiffens. Margaret's eyes flicker up, still and dangerous. "Where did you hear such a thing?" "In town, they say you sell the children born on our land." "That you—" Margaret slams her glass down, red wine spilling like blood across the lace cloth. "Enough." Eleanor doesn't flinch. "It's true, isn't it?" Margaret leans forward, her voice low. "Your father left me nothing but graves and creditors. If I must choose between my daughters starving or making use of what this soil gives me, I will choose survival." "You sell blood as if it were grain," Eleanor says. Margaret's lips part, slow, deliberate. "Blood is the only thing that buys peace in this world." The words hang like smoke. Clara begins to hum again, quietly this time, as if to fill the silence. Margaret's gaze softens just slightly. "Stop that song," she murmurs. "It sounds like mourning." Clara looks up, wide-eyed. "It's a prayer, Mama." Margaret stands abruptly and leaves the table. When the door shuts, Eleanor exhales, her hands trembling. "She's gone mad," she whispers. Clara threads her little fingers through her sister's. "She just wants us safe." Eleanor stares at the red stain on the lace cloth. "Then why does safety smell like smoke?" Later that night, the girls sit in their shared room. Candlelight flickers on the wall, painting the crucifix's shadow over their beds. Eleanor holds a scrap of paper, her pen trembling. "What are you writing?" Clara asks. "A letter," Eleanor answers. "To God, or maybe to someone who'll listen." Clara nods. "Can I write one too?" Eleanor smiles faintly. "Of course." She watches her sister scrawl uneven lines, whispering as she writes, "Dear God, please free the babies. They don't know they're born to chains." The candle gutters. Outside, thunder rolls far away, a sound that feels like warning. Downstairs, Margaret sits alone in her husband's old chair. She removes her gloves, lays them across her lap and stares at her bare hands. The skin is white, flawless, untouched by labor. She flexes her fingers and whispers to the empty room, "You left me no choice." A gust rattles the window. Somewhere in the distant quarters, a woman screams through childbirth. Margaret puts her gloves back on. The years that follow move like slow thunder, always near, never gone. By 1827, the Whitlock estate has turned hard and quiet. The laughter of its former grandeur has long died, replaced by the clang of hammers and the crack of whips. The new overseer arrives on horseback. Thomas Calhoun, a man with eyes like green glass and a smile soaked in whiskey. He steps down, adjusts his vest, and spits into the dust. His boots gleam where everything else rusts. Margaret meets him on the veranda, ivory gloves immaculate despite the summer heat. "You understand the nature of this arrangement," she says. He tips his hat. "I keep the work steady, the lines tight, and the children coming. You keep the ledger full. Simple arithmetic." Margaret's voice hardens. "You'll be rewarded. Land once my debts are cleared." Thomas grins, the corners of his mouth cracked from drink. "Then here's to productivity, ma'am." From the shadows of the forge, Samuel watches. His hands, black with soot, grip a length of iron glowing red. He's tall, shoulders thick from years of shaping metal. His movements are slow, deliberate. Each strike of the hammer steady, almost prayerful. Thomas strides by. "You there? What's your name again?" "Samuel," he replies without looking up. "Samuel," Thomas repeats, savoring it like a word he owns. "See that the chains hold. Can't have anyone thinking freedom's for the taking." Samuel dips the chain into the quench, steam hissing like a serpent. "Chains break when they're used too much," he says softly. Thomas smirks. "Then make stronger ones." That night, while others sleep, Samuel works by the faint light of the forge. Sparks dance like fireflies. He repairs manacles for Margaret's men. But from the same iron, he begins to carve something else. Thin, sharp tools, small enough to hide beneath the dirt. In the big house, Eleanor reads by candlelight. Her sister Clara lies half asleep, clutching her doll. "Go to bed," Eleanor whispers. "You said that an hour ago," Clara murmurs. "What are you reading?" Eleanor closes the book, hiding the title. "Something You Shouldn't See." But the next night she carries that same book, a worn Bible, down to the quarters. There, under the cover of darkness, Samuel's daughter, Lydia, waits with wide eyes. The child's hands are cracked, her dress torn. Eleanor kneels beside her, candle trembling between them. "This is a letter," she says, pointing. Letter, each word is a way out. "A door no chain can hold shut." Lydia traces the letters with her finger. "You'll get whipped if they find you here." Eleanor glances toward the shadows. "Then we'll whisper our freedom." From the doorway, Samuel watches him, silent, his face lit by flickering light. When Eleanor leaves, he follows her halfway through the field. "You shouldn't risk this," he says. "I can't unsee what she does," Eleanor replies. "If reading gives her a weapon, let it be words." Samuel hesitates. "Words don't stop whips." "No," she says, meeting his gaze. "But they might one day write their end." They stand close, too close, and the silence between them hums with something dangerous. By 1829, Thomas's rule grows harsher. The lash sings more often. Margaret drinks laudanum to sleep, muttering to ghosts. Clara, now 14, watches the world from behind lace curtains, her lullaby fading into silence. One evening, Eleanor finds Samuel by the forge. His shirt clings with sweat, his hands glowing orange from reflected flame. "Why do you keep fixing their chains?" she asks. He looks up. "Because I know how to break them." She steps nearer, the heat between them almost unbearable. "Then break mine," she whispers. Their lips meet, quick, forbidden, trembling. The forge hisses as if protesting. When she pulls away, her hand comes away streaked with a line of his blood, a cut from the iron he'd been shaping. She wraps a piece of linen around his hand. "No one must know," she says. He nods, watching her go. That night, Eleanor hides a letter beneath the floorboard of her room. Its words are written in both their hands, part confession, part promise. Her blood stains the corner where she sealed it. Clara sees her sister's trembling fingers and whispers from the doorway, "You'll burn for secrets like that." Eleanor smiles faintly. "Then I'll make sure the fire is mine." Outside, thunder gathers again, low and distant. In the quarters, Lydia reads by the light of a dying candle, tracing her name for the first time. "Lydia," she whispers. In the forge, Samuel lifts one of his secret tools, a key carved from stolen iron. He turns it in the moonlight and murmurs, "One day." The night hums with the sound of chains cooling, a lullaby of iron and flame. The summer night is heavy, thick with heat, with secrets, with the smell of river mud and iron. The Whitlock house sleeps under a swollen moon. In the slave quarters, torches gutter in the humid air. The crickets sing louder than the church bells. Eleanor slips barefoot across the grass, her nightdress brushing the dew. Each step is a heartbeat. In her hand, a folded scrap of paper, the last letter she dared to write. Samuel waits by the old forge, where the air still tastes of smoke and steel. He wipes the sweat from his neck, his eyes steady, though his hands tremble just enough to betray him. "You came," he says softly. Eleanor nods. "I couldn't let them send you away. I'm already gone," he murmurs. She takes his hand. "Then let me go with you." Before he can answer, a sound cracks through the night, the sharp jingle of spurs. From the shadows, Thomas Calhoun steps forward, torchlight cutting across his face. Behind him stands Sheriff Rawdon, clean-shaven, cold-eyed, dressed in polished leather. His badge gleams even in the dark. "Well, Thomas drawls, the torch flame dancing in his grin. "Ain't this a fine sermon in sin?" Eleanor jerks back. "Thomas, don't." He lifts a hand. "Save it. Sheriff here's been looking for entertainment." "Ain't that right?" Sheriff Rawdon's voice is smooth, almost polite. "Charleston's morality needs a little polish now and then." Samuel steps between them. "Leave her out of this," Thomas snorts. "Oh, we will. But her mama? She'll need to know where her daughter's been spending her evenings." He turns to Rawdon, voice dropping low. "You'll make sure she hears the truth, won't you, Sheriff?" Rawdon tips his hat. "Truth's a flexible thing, Mr. Calhoun. But yes, I'll make sure she hears." The next morning, the Whitlock Manor is all whisper and stormlight again. Margaret sits at the head of the table, still in her ivory gloves, her tea untouched. Eleanor stands trembling before her. Margaret doesn't raise her voice. "You will not speak. You will not defend yourself." "The sheriff brought me words I did not wish to hear." Eleanor's lip quivers. "It wasn't enough." Thomas stands nearby, arms folded, a smirk hidden behind courtesy. Margaret continues, voice sharp as frost. "To preserve this house, I will have the man punished. You will not see him again." Eleanor's voice cracks. "You're killing him." Margaret looks down at her gloves. "I'm saving you." The courtyard fills by dusk. The entire estate gathers, white and black, masters and enslaved alike. The air is full of murmurs and the smell of burning pitch. Torches flicker, casting fire across faces. Samuel is brought forth, shirt torn, wrists bound in chains he forged himself. His back bears the marks of his labor, and soon it will bear more. Thomas steps up with the whip, but Samuel's eyes are fixed on Margaret. He says, clear and steady, "You cannot sell a man twice." The words cut through the crowd like thunder. For a moment, even the torches seem to pause. Margaret's hand trembles, her white gloves slick with sweat. "Proceed." The whip cracks. Eleanor screams. Clara covers her ears and begins to hum, her lullaby off-key, trembling. The iron chains rattle with every strike. The torches flare higher. And in the smoke and blood and music of pain, the legend begins, a single sentence echoing through Charleston's heart. "You cannot sell a man twice." The final lash lands. Samuel does not scream. He stares at the widow Whitlock, eyes unbroken, and the silence that follows is heavier than thunder. When it ends, Eleanor falls to her knees. The torches hiss out one by one. And the moon, pale, pitiless, watches the first true fracture in the Whitlock legacy. The year bleeds slowly into another. Charleston's summer presses down like a fever. Humid, air thick with decay and whispers. The Whitlock Manor, once proud, now smells of mildew and candle smoke. Wallpaper curls at the edges. Mirrors fog over in the heat. The storm that began with Samuel's blood hasn't ended. It has only changed its shape. Inside, Margaret Whitlock drifts through her home like a ghost. Her once perfect posture has wilted. Her white gloves, still immaculate, are now stained faintly at the fingertips. Laudanum tremors leave small glass rings on every table. Her voice drifts up the stairwell. "John, my love." But there's no John Whitlock, only the mirror before her, silvered and warped, reflecting her hollow face. "You'd be proud," she whispers to it. "I've kept them safe." The reflection does not answer. Only the ticking clock and the faint sound of the sea through the shutters. Downstairs in the dim kitchen, another quiet world moves. Lydia, now 17, Samuel's daughter, stands over a basin washing the widow's teacups. Her hands are scarred from work, her eyes sharp with calculation. Eleanor enters, pale but composed. She speaks softly, glancing over her shoulder. "Did you get it?" Lydia nods, slipping a folded scrap of paper from beneath her apron. "From the docks. They said the boat leaves next full moon." Eleanor takes it quickly. "Good, then it's real." They share a moment, a heartbeat of silent agreement. Lydia looks down. "He used to say the river carried everything. Maybe it'll carry him too." Eleanor's voice cracks. "If it carries me first, I won't complain." From the doorway, Clara appears, now 12, her hair longer, her eyes older. She holds a small hymnal against her chest. "You shouldn't talk about him. Mama will hear." Eleanor turns sharply. "Then pray louder, Clara." The hymn book trembles in Clara's hands. She opens it later in the solitude of her room. And inside, between the pages of Rock of Ages, are small slips of paper, written in her sister's handwriting. Names, times, routes. She closes it fast. her heart pounding. One afternoon, the Reverend arrives. Reverend Pike, slick hair, slicker tongue. His collar is always too tight, and his Bible smells faintly of gin. He bows before Margaret. "Your soul, Madam Whitlock, remains in peril, but with the Lord's mercy." "Mercy," she cuts in, "comes by the bottle these days." He smiles. "Then I shall bless both." Eleanor serves tea, keeping her eyes low. Beneath the tray, her hand hides another letter. It's meant for Lydia. Instructions to pass a message to the docks. But the Reverend's gaze is sharp. His eyes wander, not with lust but curiosity. He sees the edge of folded parchment peeking from under the silver tray. "What's this?" Eleanor freezes. "Only a note, Reverend," she says too fast. He leans closer. "From whom?" The room tightens. Margaret's hand twitches toward her laudanum glass. Clara's breath catches. Then Lydia appears, silent as shadow, dropping a basket of linens by the door. "Beg pardon, ma'am," she says, voice low. "That's the shopping list. Miss Eleanor forgot to write down sugar." Eleanor meets her eyes. Gratitude and fear mingled. Reverend Pike chuckles, smoothing his sleeves. Even sin requires sweetness. He leaves an hour later, his coin purse heavier. But as he walks down Meeting Street, he hums to himself. Such fine paper for a shopping list. The days slide by like oil. Margaret's dependence deepens. Dr. Hollis visits twice weekly, bringing small brown bottles and moral silence. "Only a few drops, madam," he warns. She smiles faintly. "I find God in every drop, doctor." Meanwhile, Eleanor writes letters upon letters, forged with her mother's hand, sealed with stolen wax. She writes to merchants, to abolitionist sympathizers, even to plantation owners pretending friendship. Each one is bait. At night, Lydia carries them hidden in hymn books. The pages of salvation become maps of rebellion. Clara, restless and guilty, begins to hear things. Her mother's mutterings in the hall, the creak of chains below the house. She starts to hum her lullaby again, the one her nurse used to sing when she was small. Its notes echo through the empty corridors like a warning. One night, Thomas Calhoun smells smoke. He's patrolling the grounds with a bottle in hand when he sees the faint orange flicker through Eleanor's window. He pushes the door open, and there she is, ink on her fingers, a candle burning low beside stacks of letters. She looks up, startled. He steps inside. "Burn in the midnight oil, Miss Eleanor." Her voice shakes. "Studying accounts for Mother." He takes a long drag from his flask. "Funny. Accounts don't usually make a lady sweat like that." His eyes narrow. He picks up one of the sheets, blank side up, thank God, and sniffs. "You know paper burns fast. Faster than a secret." Eleanor forces a smile. "Would you like me to read the numbers to you?" He grins, leans close enough for her to smell the whiskey on his breath. "No need, I ain't much for reading. Just watching." He leaves, shutting the door slowly behind him. The candle sputters out. Eleanor's heartbeat doesn't slow for a long time. The next morning, Margaret stands before the mirror again. "John," she whispers, "they're conspiring against me." Her reflection tilts its head. "Even our daughters," she breathes. "You said to keep the blood pure. I've done worse." The mirror's silence is a mercy. Downstairs, Lydia sharpens knives meant for fieldwork, her motions steady, deliberate. Eleanor watches her and says, "Not yet." Lydia doesn't look up. "You tell me when." Clara passes in the hall, hearing that low, terrible word, when. Outside, thunder rolls in from the coast. The air smells of rain and iron. The piano, untouched for months, releases one soft accidental note as if something unseen brushed the keys. The house holds its breath. The fire hasn't come yet, but its shadow dances on every wall. July 9th, 1836, midnight. The rain begins before the fire. It always does. A storm crawling in from the harbor, thick as smoke and heavy with salt. Thunder rumbles low, distant, like a cannonball rolling through the belly of the earth. Inside the Whitlock Manor, candles gutter in the draught. The house breathes uneasily. Eleanor stands in the dining hall, pale as moonlight, hands trembling over two crystal cups. One holds ruby wine, the other, wine laced with powdered laurel, bitter and colorless. Her reflection in the silver tray looks older than she remembers. From the hallway, the sound of slow steps, Margaret descending. Her white gloves gleam even in the dim. "My dear," the widow says softly, You've set the table beautifully. For once, something still shines in this cursed house. Eleanor smiles faintly. I thought we could drink and for peace. Margaret sits. The mirror above the hearth catches her face, lined, haunted. Peace, she repeats. That's a word for the dead. The clock ticks once. Eleanor slides one cup toward her mother, one toward herself. Margaret lifts hers. To endurance. Eleanor raises the other. To release. The cups touch with a sound like a cracked bell. From the doorway, Clara watches and unseen, clutching a letter tight to her chest. The one Eleanor wrote to Samuel years ago, the one she never sent. She knows the truth. She saw the laurel leaves crushed in Eleanor's hand earlier. Her lips tremble. Please, no. She steps forward, and too quickly, and in her panic she swaps the cups. Neither woman notices. Margaret drinks deeply, her throat working. She exhales and leans back. The wine's taste sharp, metallic. Not bad, she murmurs. Eleanor takes her own sip and freezes. The taste isn't right. It's too smooth. Her eyes widen. Mother! But before she can speak, a sudden shout cuts through the storm. Outside in the yard, Lydia has struck the match. The stables erupt into flame, orange blooming against the rain. Horses scream, chains snap. It is the signal. From the fields and quarters, figures rise in the dark. Shadows with torches, with tools turned to weapons. Margaret turns toward the window, face white as ash. What is that? Eleanor whispers, justice. Then the house begins to burn. In the stables, Thomas Calhoun runs through the smoke, coughing, cursing. The flames dance higher than the roof now, horses thrashing against their stalls. His shirt catches a spark. He slaps at it, stumbling toward the gate. He sees Lydia, her face lit by firelight, calm amid chaos. You did this, he growls. She stares back, voice low. My father's words. They remembered themselves. Thomas lunges, grabbing her arm, but a beam snaps overhead, crashing down in a spray of sparks. It pins his leg, drives him to the ground. He screams, trying to drag himself free. Lydia stands over him. He spits, "This house is cursed." She answers, "Then let it die." The roof collapses. The last thing he sees is the reflection of fire in her eyes. Inside the manor, smoke thickens, curling under doors and up the staircase. Eleanor drags her mother toward the foyer, coughing, half-blind. We have to go. Margaret fights her grip. The ledgers, my accounts, they're worth... Eleanor shakes her. They're ashes! But Margaret breaks free, stumbling toward her office. Through the doorway, flames lick the walls where portraits of ancestors hang. Rows of Whitlock men staring down in silent judgment. Margaret screams, clutching at papers, trying to save ink and lies. You think you're free? She spits through the smoke. Eleanor's eyes burn, but not from the fire. No, but you'll never own another soul. She turns and throws open the front doors. The wind roars in, rain and fire mixing, tearing through the room. Outside, the enslaved rush through the storm, fleeing toward the river, toward the woods, toward something like hope. Lydia leads them, her hands bloodied but steady. Chains melt in the mud behind them. Eleanor steps out onto the veranda, soaked and shaking, the storm washing ash from her skin. She looks back once, the house glowing like a furnace behind her. Then she hears it. Clara's voice, high, thin, terrified. Eleanor. She turns. The sound comes from upstairs. The attic window glows orange. Clara. Without thinking, Eleanor runs back into the fire. The heat hits her like a wall. She pushes through collapsing beams, skirts catching ember. Clara is there, clutching the letter, the same one that started it all, the one meant for Samuel. The paper is blackening at the edges. I tried to save you, Clara sobs. I switched them, a crack above them. The ceiling groans. Eleanor rushes forward. Drop it, come here. But Clara clings to the letter. It's all that's left of him. The rafters split with a roar. Eleanor lunges, grabs her sister's hand, and in that instant the piano below begins to play. One note, then another. The falling debris strikes the keys, sending up a discordant, ghostly tune. The lullaby Clara used to hum. The same tune their nurse sang when the world was still innocent. Margaret appears in the doorway, coughing, her face streaked with soot. She sees them, her daughters framed by fire. Clara, she cries, staggering forward. Hold on! The beam collapses, the flames swallow the staircase. Margaret throws herself toward them. but the floor gives way beneath her. She screams once, a sound cut short by the crash of timber and fire. Eleanor's last glimpse of her mother is that of a figure reaching upward, still wearing her perfect white gloves as the ceiling collapses. Outside, the house burns like a pyre against the storm. Lydia stands at the gate, rain plastering her hair to her face, eyes reflecting the inferno. She whispers the words her father once said, "You cannot sell a man twice." Behind her, freed men and women move into the darkness, silent, carrying what they can. The air smells of smoke and salt and blood. The piano's last notes echo through the rain, faint, distant, fading into silence. Then the roof caves in. A burst of light, white, blinding, and the Whitlock Manor collapses inward, a lifetime of cruelty consumed in one final breath of fire. For a moment, it seems the rain might put it out, but the storm only feeds it. By dawn, nothing remains but embers, a few charred beams and the ghost of a lullaby carried away by the wind. The dawn after the fire is grey, heavy, and too quiet. Charleston wakes to the smell of smoke and the hush of disbelief. The sky itself seems bruised, pink, ash-grey, and sickly gold. By the harbour, the river carries bits of charred timber, lace, and half-burned papers that drift like dying birds on the tide. Among them floats a single silver cross necklace, Eleanor's, blackened at the edges but still shining when it catches the light. The Whitlock house is gone. Only the foundation remains, hot and steaming in the morning rain. Perspective 1. The survivors. Miles away in the lowlands past the rice fields, Lydia walks barefoot through the mud, her breath ragged, her arms trembling with exhaustion. Behind her, a few others move silently, following her lead. They have no names left, only the road ahead. She carries a small satchel. Inside it, wrapped in a scorched cloth, is a folded letter. The ink has bled, but some words remain. She can still read Samuel's name, written in Eleanor's careful hand. It is proof that the fire began not from madness, but from love. When she reaches the river, she hesitates. The sun is rising behind her, glinting on the water like shattered glass. "Keep going," one of the men says softly. "We're almost free." She nods. Her father's voice echoes in her mind. "You cannot sell a man twice." Months later, she reaches Philadelphia. The city smells of coal and rain, not sugar or blood. There, she takes work under a new name, helping in a hospital for the poor. She learns to mix herbs, to sew wounds, to quiet screams. When people ask where she's from, she answers only, "Charleston." They call her the Charleston Girl. On cold nights when thunder rolls far away, she lights a candle and takes out the letter. The edges crumble more each year, but she keeps it wrapped, pressed close to her heart. She hums a lullaby she barely remembers, the one the youngest Whitlock girl used to sing. No one else knows the tune and she never teaches it. Some things, she's decided, must burn with their time. In Charleston, Sheriff Rawdon stands before the ruins 3 days later, hat in hand, boots polished as ever. Reporters crowd near the ashes, scribbling, hungry for a story. He clears his throat and delivers his version to the city. It was a slave rebellion, led by a jealous daughter who envied her mother's station. The Lord's justice was swift. Someone asks if any Whitlocks survived. Rawdon glances at the remains of the piano, warped and silent among the debris. "Only one," he says. At the asylum beyond Ashley River, the walls are pale and padded, the halls echoing with prayers and screams. Margaret Whitlock sits by a window, wrapped in a shawl, her hair half burned away. Her gloved hands, still white, tremble as she rocks. She whispers to the empty air, "John, the girls are practicing their hymn, you'll be proud." The nurses say she's harmless. They don't notice the blood beneath her gloves. She scratches the same place on her palms until it bleeds, as if washing something that will not come clean. Sometimes at night, she sings softly to herself, the same lullaby Clara used to hum. Her voice cracks on the high notes, then drifts into silence. When thunder strikes, she screams for them both. "Eleanor! Clara!" until the attendants come with laudanum. They say she dies quietly one autumn evening, whispering, "Open the doors." No one claims her body. The Whitlock name is erased from the city registry within the year. Sheriff Rawdon retires to Savannah, his boots still polished, his conscience spotless. Charleston rebuilds as cities do, but the smoke never truly leaves. For years afterward, sailors in the harbor tell stories of the widow's curse. On storm nights, they swear they see a woman standing where the Whitlock Manor once stood, pale as bone, staring out at the sea, her voice carried on the wind. A lullaby. Soft, sad, endless. The town's ladies whisper that the fire was divine punishment. The men in taverns say it was madness. The freedmen say it was justice. No one agrees, but everyone remembers. In the pulpit of St. Andrew's Church, Reverend Pike preaches louder than ever. "The Lord," he bellows, "struck down the wicked so that the righteous may tremble." But the congregation is smaller now. They whisper that the Reverend drinks even more heavily than before, that he sometimes mistakes thunder for the crack of a whip, and crosses himself 3 times when he hears the word Whitlock. Dr. Hollis vanishes that same winter. His home is found empty, only a half-used vial of laudanum left uncorked on the desk. Some say he fled north, others claim he drowned himself in the harbor. The sea keeps its secrets. By 1840, the ashes of the Whitlock estate have been turned into a park, or something like it. Grass grows over the stones. Children play there in the daylight, though their mothers call them home before dusk. Because after sunset, they say, the air grows cold. The wind carries faint piano notes, as if the fire still flickers beneath the ground. The older folks cross themselves when the storms roll in from the east. They say the widow's singing again, and when lightning splits the sky, for an instant, the shape of a house appears in the flash, the outline of columns, a balcony, and a single window glowing from within. Then it's gone. Years later, in Philadelphia, Lydia grows old. Her hands, once strong, now shake when she ties bandages or pours tea. A young nurse asks her once, "Did you ever have a family?" Lydia smiles, eyes far away. "Once," she says, "in Charleston. What happened to them?" She looks out the window. A storm brews over the city, grey clouds gathering, thunder distant. "They burned," she whispers, "and in burning they were free." The nurse frowns, not understanding. Lydia takes out the folded letter, its ink nearly gone, its paper fragile as breath. She presses it to her chest and hums the old tune, faint, off-key, but steady. Outside, the rain begins to fall, soft against the window pane. And far away, in Charleston, the river swells with the tide, carrying ashes no one remembers but the ghosts. The fire that began in the parlor had already gone out, but the one that began in their hearts, that one never died. History, like fire, devours and reshapes. It leaves behind not truth, but embers, fragments that glow just long enough to warm a lie. In the years that followed the Whitlock fire, Charleston's papers wrote carefully. They called it the Meeting Street Calamity. The Charleston Gazette printed that an unfortunate act of hysteria among the household staff led to the destruction of a fine property. Eleanor Whitlock's name appeared once, then vanished. She became the mad daughter, driven by jealousy and Satan's whispers. Samuel was described as a seducer, cunning and ungrateful, proof that mercy toward such men breeds ruin. The rest were not named at all. The enslaved dead became numbers, the survivors ghosts. Only the rumors lived. They said the widow's estate had been cursed since her husband's death. They said the daughter went mad for love of a slave. They said the fire burned so hot it turned gold into ash. But among the freedmen, another story took root. They sang of a woman who opened the gates. They called her Eleonora in the songs, softening her name to fit the rhythm. In their version, she didn't die in the fire. She walked through it untouched, leading the chain toward the river, her white dress turning red in the glow. A century later, those songs survived in fragments, passed from voice to voice. She broke the lock, she turned the key, she opened the doors for you and me. Fire on the water, blood in the sea, the woman who opened the gates. Children learned the tune without knowing its meaning. Field hands sang it under their breath when they worked. The name Eleonora became a symbol, not a person but a promise. By the 20th century, the ruins of the Whitlock estate had long been cleared. The park still bore its outline if you looked closely. a rectangle of uneven ground where nothing quite grew right. Each July 9th, children dared one another to go there after dark. They brought candles, swore they'd hear piano notes in the wind. Some claimed they saw a flicker of white at the old foundation. Others said they heard a woman's voice humming an old lullaby. Most laughed it off the next morning, but not all. In 1934, Dr. Ruth Emerson, a young historian from the University of Pennsylvania, was cataloging a collection of abolitionist letters in a Philadelphia archive when she found a bundle of unmarked papers. The ink was faint, the pages stuck together with old blood. The first words were almost unreadable. To Samuel, and if this letter reaches you, know that I tried. Ruth read through tears and disbelief. She pieced together the name, Eleanor Whitlock. On another page there was a lullaby written in childlike handwriting. Sleep, my little baby, sleep. The stars are watching while you weep. Pinned beneath it was a note in another hand, an older, steadier, found among the belongings of a colored nurse, deceased Philadelphia, 1889, Lydia. Ruth spent years tracing the fragments, court records, rumors, missing birth ledgers. None of them matched. Official history had erased every line, but the songs, those remained. When Ruth published her findings in 1942, she titled her article, "The Woman Who Opened the Gates." The academic community dismissed it as folkloric embellishment. But among black readers in the South, the story found new life. During the Civil Rights era, protesters in Charleston sang Lydia's song again. The same melody, now carrying new words: break the lock, turn the key, open the doors for you and me. What began as one woman's rebellion became legend and then myth. Today in Charleston, tourists pass the park without knowing what lies beneath. The air still smells faintly of salt when it rains. A single plaque reads, "On this site a great house once stood. It burned in 1836. The cause remains unknown, but sometimes on humid nights, a piano seems to hum beneath the thunder. A single trembling note like breath caught between grief and song. History forgets, songs remember, and somewhere between them, the truth still burns. The screen fades to ash gray, only the soft hiss of wind remains. Every nation builds its fortunes on silence. Every silence hides a story. The Whitlock fire burned paper, but not truth. The camera drifts over Charleston's harbor, the same docks where Jonas and Isaac once walked, now bright with tourists and white sails. Beneath the planks lie bones and whispers. The water carries their reflection, never their names. They said the widow was mad. They said her daughter sinned. They said the slaves rose up without cause. Every lie built another house, another monument, another silence. A candle flickers in the ruins where the Whitlock Manor once stood. The light dances against the air, fragile and defiant. Women were told to obey. The enslaved were told to serve. Both learned the taste of chains, though one wore hers in gold. The image shifts, white gloves bloodstained, a cross necklace tarnished. A lullaby echoing like breath on glass. They say fire cleanses, but fire also erases. It devours proof, leaving only memory, and memory burns differently in every heart. Rain begins to fall, hissing against the unseen coals of history. The piano note returns, faint and solitary, before vanishing into thunder. Justice does not live in books. It lives in the songs people refuse to forget. The gates she opened still stand, though the world builds new walls around them every day. A long silence. Then the final line, a quiet, certain, unflinching. History doesn't keep the names of the innocent, only the rumors of the guilty. The candle gutters out. Darkness swallows the screen. The storm has passed. Charleston sleeps beneath a thin veil of smoke and moonlight. The camera glides over the river, dark, endless, reflecting only the shimmer of dying embers. Voiceover, quiet but direct, speaking to the listener, not the past. If your mother built her freedom on another's suffering, would you expose her? Or would you keep the secret and live with the fire inside you? A faint piano begins to play. The same lullaby Clara once hummed, each note trembling like a heartbeat in the dark. Voiceover continues, softer. Every city has its ghosts, every family its silence. The widow's house is gone. But the smoke never left Charleston. A single candle flame flickers, then fades to black. The sound of the piano lingers for 3 beats, then silence. Text fades in slowly over the last whisper of wind. If this story stirred something in you, subscribe for more forgotten histories. where every rumor hides a truth. The final image, a ring glinting in ashes, half buried, the last trace of the Whitlock name.